Well, welcome to our webinar on a couple of platforms, not mine because Facebook doesn't like me. So that is a-okay. Evan, see if you can reconnect to those to our group and our pages, but
Yeah.
and get that out there. So I'm Thaddeus. He's Evan. We're here to run a webinar for you guys entitled "Your Social Media Game Plan: How to Win Both Paid and Organic Social Platforms for HVAC Businesses." With your hosts Thaddeus and Evan. I'm excited to dive into this. A little bit different of a time from when we did it before. So yeah, it's good to be here on a Thursday morning. I know that you're having a cerveza, but I've decided not to have a cerveza. So,
Well, it
but
was funny. I was in a chat with someone early this week, and we were just messaging back and forth. He's like, "Oh yeah, you guys do the podcast where you just get drunk and talk with people, right?" I was like, "Yeah, that's us." So, I mean, it's kind of hard for us to do a webinar or put out any content without at least having a beverage. So,
right there you go.
it's
So
1:15 here in the afternoon, so it's
yeah,
it's not as bad.
it's only 10:15 here, so I feel a little bit. I mean, we did record a podcast once at like 10:30 a.m. where we were at the local time, and we drank whiskey on it, and it was a wild day after that. So we said afterwards we'll probably not do that again. But hey, here we are. So,
Here we are.
uh, well, let's dive in to the social media game plan. I kind of find it ironic that we're talking about social media and the social media platforms that we're streaming this on are completely fucked, at least on my account anyways. So gotta love the deals with Facebook and stuff just not working. So anyways, without further ado, let's dive into how to win both paid and organic social platforms for HVAC businesses. I will continue to talk as Evan tries to figure out how to connect things or share from actually I can share from your profile to my profile.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that for you.
And
Keep
oh,
going.
okay. You can share that to my profile, or do I have to approve that? I think I have to approve that. So, um, either way, we are going to get rolling into it. So let's dive in. What we're going to cover today. So we are going to go over. It's all in the strategy, talking a little bit about the strategy and how to implement the right thing for you and your business. Talk a little bit about the organic social media plays. Have a few ninja hacks sprinkled in throughout the webinar for today, and we'll also go over your paid social media platform as well, and kind of talk a little bit about some things there to help you guys out. So, but please, if you're serious about gaining traction with social media, two things: be present during this and turn off distractions. Don't be checking your else Facebook, even though you're watching this live on Facebook or on a replay on YouTube. Be sure to be dedicated into actually watching everything, because we want to make sure that we can give the value as much as we possibly can on here. So if you stay to the end, we have a little promise for you, but you have to stay right to the end in order to be able to get it. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about who we are in a second and why this thing matters to you guys. But we have the ultimate internet marketing checklist for HVAC contractors. I think this doesn't necessarily, this applies to more than just HVAC contractors. So if you're a plumbing business or you're any business that happens to be watching this right now, this will still apply to you. There are a couple nuances where you might have to change some things, but it'll still work. So stay to the end. We'll get you the link for that so you can download that. All right, who are we? Well, I'm Thaddeus. He's Evan. He's quietly working in the background and it's funny because the webinars and how we do this. So obviously we're business partners. We are co-hosts of the podcast called HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. We're also the founders of On Purpose Media, which is a leading digital marketing company for home service businesses with a flair for the HVAC world. And we each have over a decade of marketing experience and many more years of business experience itself. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about why we got into the industry that we're in right now and why we're doing what it is that we do in terms of giving as much value as we possibly can. Some people are like, well, why do you guys teach all of this to everybody? Well, we want to create as much value and leave the world a better place than when we started. That's one of our core pillars, but it was really born out of frustration. And you think about when we started our business and being in the marketing space that we were beforehand, we dealt with a lot of business owners, and not in any one particular niche, but just a ton of business owners. What we found was that a lot of businesses had a frustration with people in their internet marketing. They paid somebody some money, they took off, they never saw them, they never saw a result. Or they paid some money and there was no communication, there was no transparency, the work was subpar. And that was by and large the bigger thing of what we heard in the marketplace. And I know, Evan, you had an actual experience with somebody's website when they asked you, well, you can tell that story because you're going to do a better job of telling it. So of why you got into the business and doing what we're doing.
Yeah, it was so we were at the time selling print magazines. We were both publishers for a company that was doing that. Enjoyed it, had fun with it, but I was sat down with a business owner and I always asked them the question of, I went on your website, I had a good read through there, got the background information of your business. Is there anything else that you feel like I should know about? And she sat there and looked at me and was just like, well, what did you think of the website? And I was like, well, it was okay. Like, wasn't terrible. Layout wasn't great and could probably use some improvements from that. And her eyes started to well up and I was like, oh shit, I just insulted her. Like, she probably built this herself and she poured her heart into it and it just didn't work out. And she's like, I paid $4,000 for this website and it took 6 months to build it and I hate it and they won't make any changes to it. And that was for me what like finally broke the camel's back, so to speak, to say like, I need to learn this because business owners need help and they are getting shortchanged. They are getting ripped off from people who can open up their laptop and start an internet marketing business.
Yep.
Like, the barrier to entry for this industry is so low. That's why you get so many people inundating your inbox, your DMs with, hey, do you need help with your digital marketing? Because you can do it anywhere in the world and there's no barrier to entry. There's no pre-qualifications that you need in order to do it. And even the qualifications that are there to be like Google certified and a Google Premier partner, again, the barrier to entry is so fucking low. It's pathetic. And so that's why we want to do what we do. That's why one of our core values is honesty, integrity, staying humble, hustling, and of course, transparency. So that's why we do what we do.
Can you get me 50 HVAC installs guaranteed? We could, but that's not our promise. We're not a lead gen company either, by the way, Everett. So I love this. Yes, you can, but can you get me 50 HVAC installs guaranteed? So that's a big problem in the industry of what I see is these lead gen companies that go and promise the moon. And they usually have, or their money back guaranteed, right? But they also have riders of like, you need a 5,000 per month ad spend in order for me able to do that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But again, we're here to help and serve you guys, right? That's the biggest thing that you can take away from us, talking a little bit about that. So, whoops, that was the wrong button. There we go. Shit.
There it is.
There it is. All right. Got it figured out eventually. So cool. So this is what we do, right? We grow businesses. And as Evan mentioned, an honest, transparent, and value-first approach. That's our MO, and that's who we are and why we're doing what we're doing. So let's dive into it. Paid versus organic at a glance, as you can see on the circles. You can on the paid side, and these are kind of interchangeable in a sense. And in some parts of it, somebody may, well, I can do brand awareness with paid. Yeah, you sure can. And so the paid, research, you can reach a larger audience with a paid market because you're paying to play on that. You can also target after your ideal customers. We'll get into kind of what your ideal customer is and some of the targeting aspects of things. You also drive leads in conversation. And it should be conversions on there. I don't know why I have conversation, but hey, is what it is at this point. So I guess when you're putting the final finishing touches on it, on the night before and you're drinking scotch, that's, I guess, what happens. Scotch. I love scotch. On the organic side, brand awareness, customer service, relationship building. Those are kind of the big pillars of what you can get from having a great paid and organic. Now, in the middle, what do you get from it? New customers, right? Obviously, first and foremost, that's what you're not necessarily, but depending on what you're looking at accomplishing for your paid strategy. You can also get to promote quality content, and you also can do a little bit of research on your target audience. So if you're not sure or if you think you know what your ideal customer is and who you want to target after, you can actually gain some insights and some valuable insights on the individuals that are interacting with your posts, along with interacting with your paid traffic. It's actually very fascinating when I have these conversations, and Evan, I'm sure with yourself as well, in conversations with business owners, and you're like, oh, well, here's my ideal customer. All right, well, we'll run paid traffic, and we actually look at the data. And sometimes the data indicates that your ideal customer is not who you thought it was, based on the people that are interacting with it. It's crazy.
No,
So you can
100%.
actually, right?
And I think this is something that often gets overlooked is most companies don't take the time to really study and analyze who it is that they really want to work with. And even when we have conversations with business owners as we bring them on, I'll take anyone as long as they got the money. Anyone that can pay for their bill or finance their bill, like that's who I want to work with. Yeah, you'll take them. We're not saying you don't take those clients on, but you need to know who your ideal client is and then create messaging that speaks to them. So,
right. And I like that. I'll take on anyone that has money. Well, maybe you don't want that, right? And a lot of businesses start that way.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I would say we started that way, but I think I turned down a couple people because I didn't want to work with them.
I've always joked with Thad that we need to have a no assholes policy on the top of our contract. So
yeah. Well, I think we have a no assholes policy. Actually, I really like all of our clients that we work with at On Purpose Media. So, and Cody Johnson, Garage Door Guy, interacting with you guys. I know he's interacting with our last webinar, and that's the thing. Yeah, okay, this is geared, and we talk a lot about HVAC businesses. You can take a lot of these same principles and apply it across any industry that you're in. It works interchangeably. That's the beauty part about it. It's just some of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit later are going to be geared towards HVAC businesses, but take it and adapt it. So, all right. So, big question. I should have had like the question, and then you guys could have dropped in the comments what your biggest struggle with in social media is. Actually, why don't you do that anyways? Why don't you let us know in the comments? And by the way, if you're watching this on Team Replay, still do the same thing. Leave it in the comments. What do you feel is your biggest struggle with social media? I know in having conversations with business owners that a lot of times they say, hey, is posting on social media even worth it? And if it is, where the fuck do I start?
Well, and it's also I know for myself for a long time, it was about, what do I post? I don't feel like what I have to share is relevant. It's not gonna help people. It's not right. Like we get in our head and we tell these stories more often than not. And I know we're gonna handle all of this, but that would be one of the things that really sets me up for failure when it comes to posting more on social.
Right. And I'll be transparent. I mean, posting on social media is an arduous task. It takes a lot of work. And I know even like using myself as an example, I had all these great ambitions to start 2022 off with all these amazing posts. And I haven't really posted a lot of my own organic. I mean, we have a lot of backlog of content, and that's what's been posting right now because we've been doing it for such a long time. But I haven't created some of the new stuff that I've wanted to this year just as a result of being too busy. So it can get away from a person in a hurry. And so making sure that you have the steps in place to be able to mitigate a lot of that as well. So let's dive into that. So,
well, and also to be fully transparent with that as well, part of the reason we wanted to run this webinar was accountability for ourselves. Because more often than not, when you take the time to actually put together something and teach it, it's because you really need to learn the lesson most and need to hear the message most. So this isn't for any of you. This is just for us.
Right. But the other part too is, when we missed January in terms of running our webinars, and we committed to doing this every month throughout the year. But here's the thing, and we're creating this content. Now, one of the other strategies you can do is we can take this content as a business and we can chop this up. And again, this is for us. I mean, you can do this in some form of fashion for your business too, but we can chop this up and reuse this and repurpose this later, which makes this content piece go even further.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I like that, Cody. We're going to definitely get into this because I have this on later on. You have a battle between posting professional stuff versus having more fun posts. It's almost like I should get 2 Facebook accounts. On the short answer, do it both on the same account, and we can get into that because it is a topic for later. So do love that part of it. So social media equals trust. Okay. So the study here on the bottom, you can see the link. Goldman Sachs revealed that businesses who use social media well are 34% more likely to be trusted by young working aged people. That is millennials and Gen Zs, Gen Zers. I guess that's kind of like the 1980s ish. I know people like born in 1980 and 83 and like in 85, they're like, I'm not a fucking millennial. No, you kind of technically are. So anybody that's born between 1980 and after are the people that are really ingrained into social media. And this means by being active. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean on a specific platform. I mean, obviously, you want to find what platform works for them and for your business, but having that and people say, okay, well, my Facebook page and Facebook business pages are pay to play marketplace. We'll cover that. But there's also other platforms that you can still be active on. And if they do happen to come across you, even on a Facebook business page, then they're going to want to see activity on that. If your last post is from 4 years ago, they're like, well, what the fuck?
Well, they're questioning if you're even open.
Correct. Gen Xials, greatest generation, half analog, half digital. So, well, because they're right. Well, they're in the middle, right? And that's actually, I mean, that's kind of a completely different conversation. But 1980s onwards, again, they're that half analog, half digital. They still like those things. Like I was born in the mid 80s, and I technically am a millennial, but I don't really identify as a millennial per se. But I'm fully embracing the digital world, right? And I know some of my friends who are older than me, they're fully embracing that digital world as well. So that's where that kind of comes from, is that 1980s onwards from there.
I must say, though, that was very millennial of you to choose how you identify yourself, because that seems to be a very millennial thing to do right now.
X topic. Glancing over that one. All right. So now you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to jump into social media. I'm going to start posting a bunch of shit and get rolling with it. Well, what is your goal, right? That's going to identify your strategy. Okay. We didn't have a computer till I was like 15. Man, I love the comments. I had a computer when I was 9, I want to say, and it was the green screen. I remember playing Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And then when we upgraded to like Windows 95 or Windows 98, it was Doom. I played Doom with Our Lady Peace on a repeat. Totally irrelevant. Everett
but at the same time, it is, right? Like we didn't grow up.
Right?
We didn't grow up with this shit either, right? This is learned, and I don't know why my camera's unfocused here. There we go. This is all learned, right? It's just like your grandparents may have been born without a car in their family, right? Or your great grandparents. So everything is learned. There is no such thing as too old to be on social media or too old to know how it works. Like at this point, if you're not learning it, you're going to become irrelevant.
Yep. 100%. So what is your goal from social media? And so actually, I'm going to back up onto that topic. So because you look at, I'd be curious to know the average age of an HVAC business owner, but you think about this. I mean, there's young guys in the trade. There's middle age, and then there's even older individuals. The sooner you embrace and understand, no matter what demographic you fall into, no matter what age you are, that your ideal customers, the people that are going to be buying, that have homes, they're the individuals that are younger, right? They may not own a home yet, but if you can start marketing to them now and hang out where they hang out online, you have a leg up when they come to that part of when they're ready to purchase. You look at Gary Vee and what he talks about. He said, he's like, you might as well get onto every single platform because you don't know if it's going to take off or it's not going to take off. And he even says, well, most of the people that he markets to and does all those things from are people that aren't necessarily his ideal customer, but they will be. So keep that thought in mind. They will be. So making sure you capitalize on that. So what's your goal? Are you trying to increase your brand awareness? Are you trying to build your brand audience? Are you trying to increase engagement? And it's not like an engagement ring. This was just my design ideas from Microsoft PowerPoint. And I didn't feel like changing it because I thought it was funny. Are you trying to increase sales for your business? Are you trying to increase traffic to your website? And these are all viable options. And I'm sure there's more different categories that you can build this into. But at its core, those are the 5 things that you're going to be looking to do for social media. And you have to get crystal clear on what you're going to embark on. Now, you can also combo a couple of these together, by the way. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I mean, it could be all 5, really. I mean, that's going to take a pretty bold strategy and a lot of dollars in order to be able to do that. But are you trying to increase your brand awareness online and then parlay that into sales? Or are you trying to build your audience, which drives traffic to your website, and you're not trying to capitalize on sales, but you're playing the long game? So there's many different ways that you can take that, but getting crystal clear on what your goal is and what you're trying to accomplish from your efforts on social media.
Yep, nailed it. I got nothing to add on that one.
Perfect. You noticed that I was pausing there for you, just in case?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Making sure. Yeah, just making sure. So, so social media. So by the way, this comment here came in from YouTube. Trying to find skilled help is the biggest challenge right now. I would agree with you. However, what are you doing to try to recruit help? Are you actively using your social media platforms and social media channels to let people know that you're hiring, putting that out there in your posts, paid content, etc.? You can leverage the channels, especially if you can get, look, people growing up, the trades aren't sexy. We need to flip that script. And the more that you can do that with some of your social media aspects, the more people that you're going to be able to get into your business. Just wanted to touch on that really quickly because you can use social media as a recruitment tool as well. And there's some great guys that are doing some phenomenal work with that as well. So in terms of, okay, you've got your goal, right? You figured that out. You know what you want. Now you got to put out your strategy. And this is where you can get really into the weeds on. But at the basic, these are the 6 questions that you really need to ask yourself. And there's going to be a bunch of offshoot questions as well. Like, for example, who are you trying to reach? Okay? That's your ideal customer. And we've had a lot of different webinars, a lot of different topics on that. I think actually it was our goal planning part 1 webinar that we did. We talked in depth about your ideal customer avatar and making sure that you understand that individual and understanding their pain points. You know, are they male? Are they female? How old are they? Where do they live? What's their income status? What do they do for work? How many vehicles do they have? What type of shows do they watch? That's the sort of level that you're going to want to get into in terms of building out your ideal customer avatar and making sure you're crystal clear on that. That, by the way, can change too. You know, I think of Stacey Four and what they're doing at Call Triple Play. You know, she asked a question the other day about an ad that they wanted to run or a video. And they're like, well, I don't know if I really want to do it. It's kind of a little risque. I'm hoping that they're going to do it because that's going to attract their ideal customer avatar because they're clear on that. They're going to attract people that they're going to want. And so when you know that, when you know the types of people you're going to want to work with, now you can start to market to those people, right? From there, once you have, and these are, kind of in order, they should almost have arrows towards it. What platform do they hang out on? You're going to want to find that particular platform. It could be just Facebook. It could be Instagram. It could be TikTok. It could be YouTube. I mean, it could be all of those, but more likely it's going to be 1 or 2 of the major platforms that they're going to hang out on and focusing in on that particular platform and getting good at it before you move on to those other platforms. We'll talk a little bit about that, but finding that out. The other one is how often are you going to post? Are you going to do it daily? Are you going to do it 3 times a day? Are you going to do it 7 times a day? Are you going to do it once a week? I would walk back on the once a week because I don't think that's enough, in my opinion, to be able to do that. But so how often are you going to post? The other thing, too, to keep in mind, when are you going to post it? Is there a specific day? Is there a specific time? You know, the audience insights, when you create for Instagram, for example, when you have a business profile, you can have audience insights on what time of day most people are most likely to engage with your posts with the hashtag strategy that you imply. Very fascinating. So diving into some of that data to understand that, to best take advantage of when your audience is going to be online on the platforms they're going to hang out on. You know, I look at, we'll cover that here in a second, but Brendan Bouchard, he had made, with the average cycle is, I want to say 3 hours of content roughly. is what they're going to consume. So you need to be posting something every 3 hours, every 2 to 3 hours, because that's the average cycle that they're going to scroll through the content from. Unless you're on Facebook and somebody boosts that back up by a comment, we'll also talk about that. But making sure that you're constantly posting things out there all the time, because people are going to come on at different times to be able to see that as well. So now you've got those ideas. All right, who's going to create the content? Is it going to be all you as the owner? Sounds kind of tedious and a lot of work. Is it going to be your team? Are you going to hire an internal social media manager that's going to help create this content for you? Or are you going to outsource that? Are you going to have your team take the photos and record the videos and send that to a third-party company, such as On Purpose Media, to edit that and post that for you? You like that, Evan? Slid that
Put
right
it in.
there,
Yep.
right? That's what she said. I'm not even drinking. Wow. I had a coffee. I guess that helps. But and then lastly, what type of content will you post? We're going to get into some of the content here, obviously on the latter parts of things. So, do you want to add anything there?
No, I think I'll hit on some more things as you go through this.
Cool. Oh, did you get this done?
It's almost done. I'm about to launch it right now.
All right, cool. So in order to help out with this, obviously creating a content calendar. When you look at, okay, how often you post, when will you post, who'll create the content, what type of content will you post, and on what platform, it's going to come from a social media calendar, and be able to get crystal clear on that. And also building out more than 30 days worth of content in advance, right? In advance. Because when you do it in advance, now you can schedule that out. It's not like, oh, shit, I got to create content. Set aside 1 day per month. Or 1 day per week of content, or half a day per week of content, or a couple hours, whatever you need to do in order to be able to create the content for your business. Throw on the same logoed shirt, the same logoed hat, and change your scenarios and change your surroundings. But now you're going to be able to build this calendar out along with the content from that. So yeah, my mom, I might need a second coffee. I'll put some Baileys in it if I do. I've actually, so as a complete random and aside and a sidebar, I used to drink 2 cups of coffee in the morning. As of January, I've walked that back to 1 cup of coffee in the day, just from like, hey, see if that improves sleep. So normally I love my coffee, but I'm going to try 1 cup a day. There's still some days that I'll do 2, but anyways, I don't know why that was relevant. Cool. So Evan's going to get that. By the way, the link is onpurposemedia.ca/SMM calendar. It stands for social. I should have just said SM, but I went social media management, I guess, on that. But SMM calendar, onpurposemedia.ca/SMM calendar. He'll have that up and ready shortly. So now you got that. All right. Where are you going to post? Well, you have to, again, know your audience. Right? Don't try to post to too many platforms too soon. People will be like, well, I want to be on TikTok. I want to be on YouTube. I'm going to do Instagram. I'm going to do Facebook. I'm going to do Snapchat. I'm going to do all these places. You're going to overwhelm yourself and you're going to burn out really quickly. But if you focus on 1 or 2 platforms and where your ideal customer hangs out, then that's cool. Post on those. And it's okay not to post a particular platform if your ideal customer does not hang out there. Once you've got your strategy in place and it's a well-oiled machine for the platforms that your customers hang out on, then branch out into those other platforms and start to figure those out and do more work on that. When it comes to posting, guess what? You're going to have to post more than you actually think you need to. People are like, oh, once a week, twice a week. No, like once or twice a day. Through the noise, right? To cut through the noise, you need to post a lot.
Well, and this is something that I think people forget about, is that when you're posting content to social media, you're not competing with just your market, right? If you're doing AdWords, let's say, who's your competition? The guy down the street, the guy across town, right? People are searching for air conditioning repair near me. That's it. So you're competing against your competitors. When you're competing on social media, you're competing against the stupid shit that the president says. You're competing with the school shooting that happens. You're competing with COVID. You're like, all of these world events become your competition to try and grab people's attention. And so posting once or twice a week, that's why it doesn't work. That's why it doesn't cut it, because you got to cut through all the shit and show up over and over and over and over and over again, and in so many different places because people hang out in different places. The other thing that I think, and you can stop me if you want to talk about this later too, but the idea that you can post the same thing in every platform, you need to be contextual to the platform that you're posting to. Do you want me to continue with this
Yeah,
thought?
go for it. No, go ahead.
Sweet.
Roll it.
Here's the example. Who you were Sunday morning rolling into church is different than who you were Saturday night rolling into the club. How you show up,
place for that background music, by the way.
how you show up on Facebook is different than how you show up on Twitter, which is different than how you show up on LinkedIn, which is different than how you show up on TikTok. All of these different platforms have contextual content that needs to be specific to that user. Does that make sense?
100% makes sense to me. If this makes sense to you, let us know in the comments too. Drop a 1 if it's making sense.
And so you need to, you can take the same message and just slight tweaks along the way in how you present it to people. That's what's going to make all the difference. And so that's one of the things, we can walk through the social media marketing calendar too, which you can download off the site. It's live now, so you can get it off of there if you want. It's just an Excel spreadsheet, so it's easy to use right off of Google Drive. So we can walk you through how to do that too if you want. But that is the main idea, is you can take these big piece concepts like a blog post, like a YouTube video, and then how do you split that out and put it into different places and make it contextual to the platform and contextual to the users.
Love that. Well, then you look at LinkedIn, like I'll go back to Gary Vee as an example. Mm-hmm. Who he is on Instagram is fuck this, fuck that, fuck, right? You look at him on LinkedIn, doesn't swear.
Not once.
All of his content is his swearing is removed because it's a different platform to a different audience.
Yep.
Okay. So keep that in mind too, right? He's as a live example. So, all right. Cool. All this is great, but what do I post? Okay. What do you post? Well, let's get into it. There's a few different things that you can do, right? We'll kind of elaborate on each of these ones. So document, add value, be human, do video, team buy-in. So document, don't create. I think this is probably where a lot of people get lost and get confused, is that they want to create all this amazing content. What if you just document shit that's happening? You're going to create the content. So document. So if your team goes in, and this kind of ties into the last one, team buy-in. If your techs are going out to a job and they see something absolutely wild and crazy, well, just document that, right? You don't need to create anything around that. They can show up, they can grab their phone, they can do a video and say, hey, we're at this customer's house. We stumbled upon this AC unit that is rusting and falling apart. Take a look for yourself. They flip it around and they're showing the video of this unit that is not in good shape, or a dead rat inside of it. Like, I don't know, all these things that you're going to see these crazy things on it. You see it all the time, right? You see the posts and like dead, like snake skins in there, like all these things that you can post. And then after you do another video saying, great, replace this unit. Now here's a brand new unit that we have. Take a look at this, the before and after sort of a thing. So now you've just documented doing an install. Yep. Document those things. Document your day. Talk about things that are happening. Document things that are happening in your office. If you're building out a new location, document the whole process.
Yes.
Right. Jump on video for a minute or two and talk about what's happening in your day around that. And that's where I think a lot of people lose that part of things, is they want to create. Well, it's easy. I mean, creating, by the way, is one thing, and you need to create content, but you also need to document things to be able to be human.
Well, and especially as you're trying to figure it out and just getting started, it's the easiest thing in the world to be able to just turn the camera on and just talk about what it is that's in front of you, versus trying to come up with a concept and figure it out. And, oh, should I say it like this or should I say it like that? Like, fuck it. Just turn the camera on, talk about what you're looking at in front of you. How often do you sit across from a customer and tell them why there is so much more value going with you versus going with the chuck in a truck that's discounting their product severely, and how there's not going to be a warranty, how there's not going to be a guarantee. You're going to call them in a year when shit goes wrong and they're going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you show up at a house and this exact scenario played out. They bought a unit last year. It's already faulty. It wasn't installed correctly. And now they have to replace the whole unit. Easiest thing in the world to just turn that camera on and say, I tell my customers this every single day. Look at what I just saw. That's all you got to do. 15 seconds is like the perfect video range right now in terms of time frame, because it's long enough that you can get a little bit of a message out there, and short enough that you can actually hold on to someone's attention span, which is apparently less than a goldfish today.
They're not wrong. So document, don't create. Next up, value. To deliver value, don't just advertise. And I always think about, in sales training, when you have somebody there and they're like, do you want to buy from me? No. 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 Do you want to buy from me now? How about now? No. Okay. Well, how about now? You ready to buy yet? No. Okay. Like, that's just in your face and it's annoying. So don't do that when you post. Don't always ask people to buy from you. You're going to have to ask. You're going to have to put those sort of posts out there, because you're going to want people to eventually get something from you, right? That's why you're part of what you're doing. But you also want to deliver the value behind that. How to change your furnace filter. Good one, right? 7 reasons why you should change your furnace filter. How to automatically adjust your shitty Nest thermostat. You like that one? I actually have a Nest thermostat. It came with the house. It's fine. It's great. But I know most people don't like working on it. They prefer the EcoBees. But those sorts of things, right? Like you think about all those value videos, right? Now, here's a completely separate, aside from that, you can take those videos, you can then transcribe those, and then you can put those on your website as a blog, and it's going to help your SEO, right? So there's bigger things out in here that are at play than just putting the content on your social media. So,
yep. 1,000%.
Cool. Anything to add on the value piece?
I mean, it's advertising is like selling. That's literally what it is. I have an offer, something's on sale, I want to sell you something. That's what advertising is all about. Marketing is about being creative and adding value. It's standing out and grabbing market share. And far too many people in the home services industry do zero marketing. All they do is advertising. All they're doing is trying to make a sale. That's great to keep you around tomorrow and to turn the lights on tomorrow, but that's going to do jack shit to help you in 5 years, because all you're doing is constantly paying for customers, and it's the lowest return over time.
There you go. Wisdom. #wisdom from Evan. Be human. So Cody, this kind of goes back to your, posting between professional stuff and having more fun posts, right? You want to be human, show off your human side. Evan made that reference earlier to who you are on Sunday and who you are on Saturday night are 2 different people, in a sense. But I mean, maybe not go to like the nth degree and like, you doing a selfie in the club, dancing away or whatever, right? And then, showing a church video the next day. I mean, those are kind of 2 polar extremes, but there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm about to head out for a night on the town with the boys or, the girls or what have you. And then also talking about some family time or God time or whatever your personal time is, and talking about those things. And then also talking about business too.
Yeah.
Because when you can be human, now you're relatable.
Yes.
And when you're relatable, you're not just a business selling to somebody.
Yep. No, business is about people.
Yes.
It's 2 people connecting, 3 people connecting, right? Like that's what it is. And so when you remove that barrier of I've got to represent my business right now, and you can just be you and be real and authentic, you're going to attract more people that you want to be doing business with in the first place. So
100%. All right. Video, and then more video. I know people are like, well, why so much video? Well, TikTok, right? uh, um,
Instagram.
Instagram is Bannister. You're more than a human. Uh, so they, I just love the comments. Sometimes they squirrel me from my thoughts, uh, but Instagram has no longer said that they are, uh, uh, three people is ways better. So anyways, he's talking threesomes, I bet. See, this is the human side though, right? This is who I am. Like you try to have a conversation with me, and like Evan, you've witnessed this firsthand. We're talking about business things, and I'll be like, "Ooh, this," and then I'll go right back to what I was talking about. This is the human side, right? Of what we're just talking about beforehand. So go back to video. I mean, you look at TikTok, right? The most visited website in 2021 was TikTok. Okay. And YouTube is like eighth or some shit. And Instagram, they're actually bounced out of the top 10, but Facebook is still up in there. But Instagram has also changed. They're finally admitting that they are not just a photo sharing network, they're a video network, right? You look at Facebook and what they try to push and promote. If you were to run an ad side by side, one is a still ad, like an image, and one is a video ad. Facebook is going to push the shit out of that video ad, right? They're going to want to push video, and they're trying to move towards that way. So getting that, having that crystal clear focus on video. We have a reference later on to a podcast that we had with Kevin Lee that he talked about video and the importance of it and how to be able to create that. So definitely check that out under the HVAC Success Secrets moniker. But it's a massive thing, and it goes back to what I talked about earlier. It can be simple, quick videos of documenting your day. Mix in with some pictures into that, and you've got a killer strategy.
Definitely. We had a comment earlier that I just referenced and actually wanted to pull up because I think this is really relevant right now with what we're seeing in the trades. Trying to find skilled help is the biggest challenge right now, and it absolutely is. So curious for you, Bud, like what would you say about how social media can help with sharing your brand and then attracting more talent?
Oh, is that a question for me?
Yep.
Okay. You said the word bud, so I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, you're my bud.
Okay. I'll take it. Well, it's almost like a culture thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And culture is perhaps one of the most talked about and often underutilized tool when it comes to recruiting people into a business. If you can convey your culture on social media through video and fun things that you do, like how like you have a team barbecue, shoot some videos when you're there, do some lives, do some stories, put that shit on YouTube after it's edited, just a fun cultural thing that you did on there. Maybe get some of your team members to do a TikTok dance or whatever the kids are doing on TikTok these days. Those sorts of things. Do some TikTok challenges with your organization and show that it's a fun place to work.
Yep.
And when you can show that it's a fun place to work and you are adapting with the times and adapting your culture to meet the younger generation's needs, you're going to be able to attract more people into your business. I know that people have a tough time recruiting in the trades, and there's other people that say they have so many resumes they don't know where to even start. Right? It's the ones that have so many resumes that they don't even know where to start have utilized social media to convey their culture to people.
Yep. 100%. And that's
Yes.
like a great example right now that I've been following a lot recently is Grasshopper, Heating and Air up in New York with
Yep.
Amanda Triolo. Um, it's not just her. That's the beautiful part too, is it's her and her team. They're all involved in sharing the amazing things that they're doing as a team. Whether it was having Jason Walker come out and do training and the amazing team building exercises that they did with him, or their team nights that they do once a month where they take their team out and they go do something fun together. They just celebrated their first anniversary. So congratulations on that, Amanda and team. But I love watching those videos, and if I were in the area, I would be curious about what it would be like to work with them.
Yep.
So that's the kind of thing that social media can allow you to do is to not just be looking constantly for more sales and more market share, but also better people.
Yep. Hundo P. There, I changed it from 100%. And the last one, team buy-in. We've already talked about that, right? Have your team buy-in, take photos, shoot videos, expand that out to more than just the network that you guys have. When you can get that total team buy-in, that's when you're going to have a lot of success with your social media part of things, because it's not going to be just your business page reaching out to those audiences. It's going to be your personal page. It's going to be their personal pages. Their friends are going to see how much fun they're having working at an organization that they're posting about it on social media and how awesome it is. And they're going to be, as Evan said, naturally gravitated towards coming to want to check it out.
Yep. Well, and are you utilizing your team to post on their own channels so that they can have an impact on your business, whether that be through recruiting or sales or just market share, by sharing those on their personal pages? Hey, this is Jimmy. I work for so-and-so Heating and Air, and I just completed this new install. Tell me what you think. And they just put that on their own personal page, right? I think that would add a lot of value to the business as well.
100%. And I'm going to jump ahead in the slides, and then I'm going to come back because I'm going to talk about this ninja hack right now, because I think it's an important piece, because we're talking about it right now. Convert your personal profile into a megaphone for your business.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you leverage your personal profile? And I get people are going to come back and say, well, no, I'm a private person. No, like legit, because like when we started this and we started going public with everything that we're doing, I had this exact same conundrum. I'm like, no, I'm a private person. I don't want to do that. I don't want to open it up. I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to post. Like I posted like once a month on Facebook, and it was always posts that were like designed to get people to like and comment, just because it was fun to do that. But I never posted a lot, and I never really opened up about a lot of things that were happening in there. So what you do, you can still be a private person. Just post selective things that you want to post about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and reference Gary Vee, because Gary Vee has done a masterful job at this. He is an insanely private person. You don't hear him like all the stuff, and I haven't followed him in a while, so maybe he might do this. I kind of unsubscribed from him for a bit, but he never see anything about his kids. I mean, he talks about his family, but you don't see anything. He talks about them.
See them.
You never see them. So if you're like, well, I don't want my family, I'm like, well, no, don't talk about them, or don't show them. Talk about them, but never show them. Right? I know with my wife, I mean, we have these odd photos that we show up, but she doesn't necessarily want to be out there all the time as much as myself. Same with her kid. We'll talk about them. We'll still show them. I mean, who doesn't love baby photos, right? So you can still be a private person if you hack your personal profile. And this is where you can also show your human side a little bit too, and people can get to know you. But I think of Jason Julian and what he's done on his personal profile within his area and the brand that he's been able to create as a result of that, because he's hacked that, right? The other part of that too is when you do that and your team also has this, because again, you create this cultural thing, you can get engaged in local community groups as well. They can get engaged with local community groups. They can respond back. I know my wife is involved in a local mama's Facebook group. And she, if her or somebody else asks a question, you're going to get a bunch of referrals in that group from people that are an advocate for your brand. And if your team is also part of that advocate of the brand, now you can get even more people referencing and linking your business. And then making sure that if you personally are in those groups, responding back to every comment as well is a super huge and important piece there. But it allows you to leverage the platform. And this is more like a Facebook, community group sort of a thing. It's a ninja hack that allows you to be able to maximize your reach on that platform itself.
Well, and I guess let's talk to that as well. So why is it that you would rather be sharing business information on a personal page than a business page?
Because Facebook posts on a business page aren't seen by anyone. Unless you pay to play. Then they're going to get shared out. On average, 5%. I mean, they used to say up to 15% for video on a business page, but like 5% of people that follow a business page. So if you have 1,000 people that follow your business page, 5% of those people are going to actually see your business post. I mean, I don't think in scrolling through Facebook that I ever have seen an individual business page post unless it's sponsored. And thinking about that, I mean, maybe my Facebook's a bad example because it's fucked, because I have all these groups that I'm a part of too, and see all those in the thread. But Facebook themselves have made a big push on personal profiles and groups. And that's what your big thing is. And so people just don't see that unless you're boosting that. Where on your personal profile, now you can get, 3, 4, 5,000 people that could potentially be friends with you because you're involved in that market. You have you have a bigger reach and a bigger audience. Plus, you can get involved in those local groups as an individual way more than you can as a business, because people are going to see the business posting in those local groups and they're like, nope. But if you're a person posting in those local groups, they'll be like, all right.
No, definitely. The perception is huge. That makes a big difference. And then ultimately it's the reach. Like, you want to be seen, you want to be visible. The worst thing that can happen for your business is to become irrelevant. I would rather have someone put up their hand and say they're interested in having a conversation and then put it down and say, actually, I'm not, than to have them not know who you are in the first place.
Yep, 100%. Okay, so now we talked a little bit about where and how. Here's a way to optimize your value posts. Okay, I've kind of already talked a little bit about this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we chatted about the filter thing on there, but the headlines are often the most important part, and sometimes the pictures too. I mean, there's different ways, but you need to have that attention grab. You need to have that hook that's going to stop somebody in whatever platform they're on to see that. How to 7 ways to, they're great starters. Tips for, 3 tips for the fall season, 3 tips for summer, right? So those are ways that people are going to optimize in terms of the value posts that you're going to be able to put out there. With that, another thing in terms of a value post that you can do, and this is another ninja hack, actually, I can thank Josh Crouch for this one, is to post and talk about weather events. I mean, this is specific obviously to HVAC businesses, but what's happening down in Texas right now. They're getting snow and they're freezing rain, and roads and schools are shut down. Well, if and we heard about this a couple of days ago from some of our clients, and one of our friends that lives down there. Well, if you can post a little bit about some of the upcoming weather events in advance, saying it's going to be cold as fuck in Dallas, it's going to there's going to be snow. Here's how you can make sure your furnace is working in advance so you're not going to be left frozen. Great post, because now there's a value to that for something that's coming in a couple days. So also being on top of it. And so this is in addition to the content calendar that you create to make sure that you're relevant to what's happening in the current time.
Totally. Well, and you can even point to last year as a great example of that too, and what happened down in Texas, right? And utilize last year as a reminder for why they should prepare this year. You could talk about whole home generators at that point as well, right? Like, there's so many different things that you could spin that into content for around this topic of shitty weather's coming, get prepared, right? Whether that's too hot outside, too cold outside, etc. Right? There's so many different things you could talk about around that.
Oh, exactly. So that's kind of the tail end of the organic side of things. And I know we mentioned a few times pay to play and paid social media. And so now that you have all this organic posting done for your pages and your personal profile and on the platforms, you want to put fuel to the fire. Well, put some dollars behind it. Now, there's many different strategies that you can do, and we'll talk about some of those here on the pay to play marketplace. So people are like, well, where do I even start? Well, remember we talked about your ideal customer hangs out. You start on that platform. Okay. So they're all build off each other. And that's the nice part about this. And so you can use your existing content. This is probably one of the easiest ways that you can start doing this yourself in a pay to play marketplace. And so when you post a lot, guess what? You have a lot of content to choose from. Okay. You can also then take your best organic content and boost it. And there's a debate on, should I use the boost button on my Facebook profile, or should I create an ad on the back end of the ads manager? I think the boost function has came a long way lately. And if you're fairly new to this and the ads manager scares you, set up an audience and use the boost feature. That's going to be the easiest way to be able to do some of your best organic content. This is obviously from a business page, not your personal profile. You can't actually paid and boost your personal content on at least Facebook anyways. So making sure that you have that idea for some of those things. But then what you can do is, if you have video, you can retarget off of that content. And people are like, well, retargeting has gone the way of the dodo with the iOS changes. No, not if it's all on Facebook's platform. So if your video content is boosted, you can then actually show ads to the people who watched your video content. And now they're a warmed up client. They're a warmed up individual. The chances of them converting into a booked service call or a booked install, and then landing that job are a lot higher because they're familiar with your brand, because they've already interacted with some of your content. Cool. The other thing you can talk about is, and we talk about this a lot, is the problem solution conundrum. Okay. When people turn to Google, what they already know is they have a problem. They're actively searching out a solution. People don't turn to social media when they have a problem. Oh, my furnace is broke. My AC isn't working. Let me turn to Facebook. And I mean, maybe they might ask in a group saying, hey, who do you recommend for AC repairs? Right? They might ask that question, but they're not going to go search out AC repair near me on social media. And so you have to come up with creative ways to introduce a problem, i.e., their pain point, to them with your post or with your ad, for example. So introducing that thing. Is it too hot at night? You can't sleep. Your kids are screaming and crying. They're not getting rested. Therefore, you're not getting rested and you're waking up tired because your house is too hot. Oh, yeah, I guess that is me, right? Problem. Okay. Then you offer the solution. We have the solution for you. With our current specials, you can get a brand new air conditioning installed for X amount per month. Click the button below to schedule your free estimate today. That's a simple version of an ad. Obviously, you clean that up a lot more, but that's kind of the idea. Now you can see how you've walked through a problem and you've offered a solution. And you can be creative with these. We mentioned, generators, right? And this is a perfect weather event that's happening right now down there, and power outages might happen. Well, wouldn't it suck to not have power for your family? Imagine it goes out and you can't even turn on the lights, and it's really cold and you can't heat your home. Guess what? We have a solution for you. Install our generator today. Boom.
Well, and even again, playing off of last year. Remember last year when Snowmageddon happened in the Dallas area, in the Texas area, in the San Antonio area, whatever your area is. Remember when we were out of power for 3 days and our pipes were freezing and da-da-da-da-da? Wouldn't you hate to have that happen again?
Mm-hmm.
This year, be prepared.
Right. There you go. You're much better at the off the cuff stuff. I need to think and write it out and then go back and get on a roll when it comes to writing things and copy. I'm more of a writer. He's more of the thinker out loud. So that's why our relationship works.
It works.
All right. So now you have that, and you want to, and this, by the way, this problem solution can be used for many different components, whether it's your organic post or even your paid post. We're talking more so the paid ad lead generation type stuff. So once you have that, you'd be like, all right, cool. How do I do that? Right. Lead ads, conversion ads. I'm going to talk a little bit on the Facebook platform here, just because that's one of the simplest platforms. If you have more time than money to be able to run your own ads and do it the right way. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Facebook platform. There's many other platforms that you can do this on: YouTube, TikTok, a little bit more intensive because you are creating video behind that and a little bit more thought. I shouldn't say thought. There's a little bit more work that goes involved with the videos, where you can do a simple photo on these and have success. So some do's and don'ts. Do's. When you are creating an ad, people you want to have, and this kind of goes over, it links to the don't with the campaign budget optimization. By the way, if you're like, this makes no sense to me, we were going to jump on live and walk through what these are on the Facebook Ads Manager. But in just the interest of not getting too far into the weeds, we decided not to do that. So if you want me to record a video on this and send this over to you, just drop that in the comments, shoot me on Messenger, shoot a message to me on Messenger, or Evan on Messenger, or sorry, I was on the wrong screen when I was trying to scroll up. You can also text us here at 719-824-1377 and say, hey, I want that video for the walkthrough of a setting up a Facebook ad campaign. So 719-824-1377. We'll get that over to you from there. So some do's: campaign budget optimization. Facebook is so smart that they already know what ads are going to perform the best based off the numbers of what they see, and also the numbers that they put that for. So if you have multiple images running, which you should, by the way, on your ad, they're going to put the budget to the ads that are going to perform the best. That's what that means. So you're not smarter than the Facebook algorithm, sadly. So you might as well use their algorithm to your advantage. Same thing with automatic placements, right? Automatic placements are a huge thing. You know, I fought automatic placements for a little while when we first started running ads, especially for one of our clients. And like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try automatic placements, and then I'm going to look at the data after to see what's the best performing placement. I would have never thought that advertising in the Facebook marketplace for this particular client would have been the biggest success. Would have never thought. I actually turned it off when I first started creating these ads. I'm like, well, no, why would I want to advertise in the Facebook marketplace? It was actually the best performing area for this client. Not every client is going to, in the Facebook marketplace, but if you have those automatic placements, Facebook is going to put it to the best place and the best opportunity for you to get a lead out of it.
Yep.
Or a sale out of it.
And I think this comes back to, the old idea of the 80-20 rule, right? The Pareto principle. 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your efforts. Well, I really think that when it comes to your marketing budget and how you're splitting it up, like 80% of your budget should go to the things that are going to generate the biggest results.
Mm-hmm.
The other 20% you need to start playing with, and you need to start testing different things, and you'll be surprised, like we were, with what could come of it. When you start playing in these other platforms, when you start playing in these other areas, even within the platform you are using, you would be pleasantly surprised with the results that come of it. And more often than not, it's cheaper than in other places because there's less competition on there.
Yep, exactly that. But again, you have that budget to play with, right? Set that up so it's and you factor in, okay, well, how much am I willing to spend each month on testing these things and maybe not get anything out of it, get a zero return. But if it works, man, that's going to be amazing because you can dump more money into it and make that money back. And I would probably say if you blend that over as a whole, you're going to make money versus losing money on it. As long as you do that smart and do it the right way.
Well, and when you look at what you're advertising as well, right? Like
correct.
Make sure that you're advertising your highest ticket offers so that even when you're testing such a small amount, one sale out of it is going to pay for the 4 that generated nothing, right?
Correct. The other one is open demographic targeting. This is, again, Facebook will know. I mean, it's a little bit different with the iOS 14 changes and such in terms of some of the demographic targeting that they get. They still got a pretty good idea, so it's not quite as effective as it used to be, but you still leave it open. And this, again, now you can, if you leave open targeting, you can then go back in and look at the data, and they break it down by age and sex. And also location. So you can, and platform that they're looking on, and device. And so you can look at all these different things after you've had the open demographic targeting to be able to get down into the finer details of things on who your actual ideal customer is from there. The other one is geo-targeting. So you can target specific locations down to within a mile or two, depending on your area. Obviously, if you're targeting a mile radius or 2 mile radius, you're not going to have a big audience to choose from, but you can definitely do detailed targeting aspects of things in specific neighborhoods. So a couple don'ts. Don't post only one image on your ads. Okay. Do multiple, 4, 5, 6 images on an ad. And people are like, well, what? Why? Well, you don't know which ones are going to perform. How do you know what image is going to resonate more with somebody else, right? You don't. So you let the algorithm do some of that heavy lifting for you. I mean, sure, you still have to put some thought into the image. You just don't put something up willy-nilly, but you want to have some thought behind it, but put out a few different images. Actually, one of the things that we're seeing right now is just easy image of like an air conditioner. That's some of the best converting ads, are just we have all these fancy ads that we also design to it, and some of those work better in certain situations, and sometimes it's just literally a photo of an air conditioner with a logo on the top right hand corner or left hand corner or whatever corner are some of the better converting ones. It's the ad copy that also helps that and push that along, and making sure that you have great ad copy. So it's not just about the image. And you think about your Facebook feed, what's going to cause you to stop and look and consume the content? Well, if it looks like an ad, talks like an ad, acts like an ad, it must be an ad. But if it doesn't look like an ad, doesn't talk quite like an ad, but it doesn't act like an ad. Well, it must be a post. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to read it. Oh, this is an ad. Cool. I'm interested. Boom. Click the learn more button, right? So those are some things to think on. Don't test too many things at once. And this is moreover like A/B testing. So people are like, well, I'm going to test a completely different ad copy with, again, and an image against another different ad copy and another different image. No, you keep the images the same, change the headline of the ad copy, or keep the ad copy the same and test the different images. So you want to make sure that you're testing things strategically so you know what's going to win and what's not going to win with small things, not just wide ranging things. This is different than what Evan mentioned about testing on different strategies or ideas or placements and such. That's a little bit different. I'm talking more so just the actual ad themselves when you're launching it. And don't forget about tracking events. I know that iOS 14 has kind of changed some of that, but you still want to do that because there are still users who do not use an iPhone. And you want to make sure that you have your Facebook Pixel installed and optimized, as well as the conversion API installed and optimized as well on that. Anything there?
Yeah, the one thing I was going to add to it was don't let your ego get in the way of what the market is trying to tell you is going to work. And this comes back to what Dad was saying around choosing an image and testing an image and testing in different areas and things like that. If you let your ego get in the way of what the market is trying to tell you is going to work, you will lose in business. The market is the market is the market. They will dictate your decisions if you allow them to, and they will point you in the direction of what is working. That's what A/B testing allows you to do, right? And like Dad said, you test one thing at a time against each other. So yes, we're going to test in different areas. While we're testing in different areas, we're going to run 2 almost identical ads side by side in that area. The only difference is going to be the headline. A or B, which one performed better? Okay, B did. Great. Now we're going to test long form versus short form. Which one tests better there? Oh, now we've got this headline with long form. Worked better. Great. Which image worked better? Great. And now you've got an ad that's working. And then you test it all over again. It's a never-ending process of trial and error. But by doing things this way, it allows you to fully optimize your ads and know what it is that's going to perform the best.
Right. And it does take time to, like, if you're brand new to it and there's no data that you have to pull from, it does take time.
Yep.
You look at, and I know for a fact that there's different markets have different wants and needs in terms of the way that the ad looks and performs. Some markets are short form images that are just that of an AC. There's other markets that are long form with graphic images that perform better. It's weird that there's just even like market nuances within the states in North America that makes that big of a difference, but it does. But you don't know that unless you actually test those and test them the right way to figure out what's going to resonate for your area and your ideal customer.
Yeah. And don't ever go with feeling over data. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. I think we've already talked about video, but do not sleep on it. Do not sleep on YouTube. Do not sleep on TikTok. YouTube is the second largest search engine, is the 8th most visited website in 2021. TikTok, most visited site in 2021. So do not sleep on that. If you want a great episode in which we talked about video, we had Kevin Lee on. You can see that link there, youtube.com. Or just go to search HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Go to our YouTube page and find the episode with Kevin Lee because we talked all about video there. So
I'm going to throw the link in the chat here as well.
All right. Oh, well, before we wrap up, any final thoughts?
Just fucking do it.
Done is better than perfect.
Absolutely. Putting out content is so essential today. And if you are trying to overthink it and trying to make it perfect every single time, you're missing out on 90% of the market share or more. Like it's a ridiculous amount of people that are on social media and utilizing it daily. The amount of times that people check this thing on a daily basis. I was reading a bunch of different numbers a couple of weeks ago as I put out a post, and it was something ridiculous, like 194 times that people are checking their smartphone throughout the day on average. It's
Wow.
insane. But it's social networks, it's text
Mhm.
messages, it's emails. Like there's so much information that is constantly bombarding us on a daily basis, and interrupting that with strategic, intelligent, funny, value adding content is what's going to win.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily about the quality of content that you're putting out. And when I say quality, I don't mean like the quality of the education. That needs to be a value, but the quality of the video. More often than not, you walking and talking on the phone is going to produce better results than having a fully touched up, glossy looking video. You don't need TV commercial production level quality when it comes to producing video content. You
Nope.
just need a phone and
Yep.
just talk. That's it.
Yep.
Uh,
That's how you can get
Anthony
started.
Anthony Wright, he runs Element Air in Louisville. I love the content that he puts out, and he did a total rebrand with Kick Charge, and he's the Science Tech. But he's gone on this kick of producing content and documenting what it is that he does throughout the day. Go follow some of these people and see what they do and emulate it in your market. There's nothing wrong with that. Steal from the best and steal from the best with pride.
Yep. The thing with the video and like the your phone, I mean, 95% of your video can do that. Um, there's that 5% where you want to have that polished look, and I think this is when you get to that point of, okay, now I want to add more in. I want to do bigger things. I want to tell a bigger brand story. I want to get it polished and edited. That is still is a time and a place for that. But by and large, the daily content that you should be doing should be just done on your phone.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
this is exactly what this question came in here from YouTube. Silver Bright, what would you say is the next step for a small business? One truck that is insanely busy, more work than I can keep up with. Help really seems hard to come by. Okay, this is exactly it. This is exactly what I would do. Is I would put out that content on the daily, everywhere possible. Video content would be the easiest. It's the easiest time
Yep.
saver because you could buy one of those little sticky attachments, put it in your truck so that your phone sits on the dashboard right in front of you. Press record, talk about what happened. If you really want to get fancy, buy a lavalier mic that connects to it so that people can hear you better, because what is it, like 60% of the content that's consumed on YouTube is not actually watched on video, it's listened to on audio. So if your audio sounds crisp, people are going to love it even more. So that's a real easy fix, to spend 20 bucks on a lavalier mic and connect it to your phone while you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's net time, no extra time. You're going to be driving anyways from job to job. So talk about what you just saw. If you're insanely busy, that's exactly what you need to do. If every video that you shoot 3 times a day, 4 times a day is you in the truck driving from job to job, other techs are going to see that and be like, oh, wow, they're really busy. You don't even have to talk about how busy you are because you're showing people how busy you are. And that again comes back to, well, what is the culture that you're trying to create? What is the value you're trying to create? What are the stories that you're telling about the relationships you're building with customers? If you can do all of that on social through recording video, it will have a massive impact on your bottom line. It will have a massive impact, and not like tomorrow, 5 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to look back and say, holy shit. Okay. That's the goal, is to put your head down, go to work, keep doing what you're doing, but not only thinking about what it is that I got to get done today, but who is it that I want to become tomorrow? And what is it, the business that I want to grow into? And
Well,
yeah.
and to add on to that, the help part, and well, how do you get more help? Help you grow your business. Well, you're going to be putting that content out. You're going to be building the following. Now you say, hey, by the way, I'm hiring. You've already got the network. You've already got people that are watching and consuming your content. Yeah, now you have a better ability to attract new clients or new hires, right? The other thing
Yep.
that you could do is you take that same strategy in terms of the ads part of things. You can actually run job hiring ads directly on Facebook as well. with a lot of specific targeting on that. And you're going to spend some money to do that in order to be able to recruit. But it also goes back to your recruiting strategies and how do you bring people in the door. And you have to pay to
Yep.
have that happen. So,
Well, and LinkedIn's another great one because people actually put their job title on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn ad platform has gotten severely more sophisticated, and it's tremendously useful for the B2B realm, which recruiting, that's what it is, right? You're reaching out to other technicians that have listed on their LinkedIn profile that they are a technician. Facebook, you could retarget over a supply house if you wanted to do recruiting ads.
yep.
Those are a couple examples of it.
Yep. Two last things before we wrap up. Number one is if you're like, hey, this is awesome. I don't really know where to start. I don't really know how to do it. I don't really want to do it. I'd rather pay somebody to do this for me and help me out. Well, guess what? onpurposemedia.ca/book a call. There's dashes in between that. Should almost remove those dashes. Just book a call, no dashes. But we'll drop that into the show notes after. But onpurposemedia.ca /book-a-call. And let's jump on a call. Let's have a conversation. It's like a first date. There's no obligation when we have a conversation. It's really us getting to know you and your business, you getting to know us and who we are. And if we feel like there's a second date opportunity, we'll set it up where we can go over what we think is going to be great for your business in terms of getting you to where you want to go. The other last part, of course, I said if you stayed to the end, don't forget our internet marketing checklist for HVAC contractors. You can download that at onpurposemedia.ca /checklist. That is onpurposemedia.ca /checklist. Anything else, Evan?
No, I think that was fantastic. I mean, our goal is always to add as much value as possible. So we would like to hear some feedback from you. You can leave it in the chat now. You can send us a message, hit us up at info@onpurposemedia.ca, or you can reach out to us in our Facebook group as well, facebook.com/groups/HVAC revealed. That's where a lot of great chats are happening amongst industry experts. And we would love to have you be part of that conversation as well. So hit us up in there and let us know, give us some feedback, because we would love to know how we can add more value to you, more topics you want to hear about in the future regarding marketing, regarding growing a business. And I think until next time, cheers.
Cheers, I guess. Sure. I'll cheers you with my
Your water glass.
Cheers.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.